Everyone's talking about the coronavirus, and this is a big deal. Our families are relying on us for guidance and reassurance. We need to protect not only ourselves, but the public that we serve. And I'm here to show you how. Obviously, we're not working on a real body. And obviously, I'm not completely up to code. But I'm going to show you how to better protect yourself each step of the way. So whether you're on a first call or you're the embalmer taking care of the body in the facility, it's important that we treat every case as if they're infectious. And to better prepare ourselves and our staff, make sure that you're equipped with the proper products to protect ourselves and the public. If you're on a removal and you're making a transfer from the facility to your funeral home, have some Webril cotton or some sort of cloth and be able to saturate that with a disinfectant. And before transferring the remains, cover the face completely, the mouth, the nose, the eyes, and protect yourself from any droplet transmission from the decedent to you. Also, it's important to make sure you're fully covered yourself. Cover your face, your eyes, your nose. And you can do that easily by using the mask and the proper PPEs, and that's the personal protective equipment. Here, I'll gather that now and demonstrate how I would place it on. If you're using a flat pleated mask like this, locate the metal strip, and that will bend, and place it over the bridge of your nose, and then guide the elastic strips around your ears, and then adjust the mask around over your mouth and down over the chin. Apply the shield to your face to protect your eyes from any droplet transmission. To remove and discard into a closed container. Once you have the mask on, avoid touching the mask with your hands. Once you do that, you've now contaminated your hands because of the transfer of bacteria and virus. When you're removing the mask, remove from the elastic loops and dispose into a closed container. For practical purposes, I'll keep my mask off. You'll better be able to hear me. We're going to discuss how to disinfect the face, the eyes, the nose, and the mouth to better protect the embalmer. With a proper disinfectant, forceps, and I recommend a syringe. We want to be careful not to use a spray bottle when disinfecting the face because a spray bottle produces a force and a stream that could splash back. So we want to make sure that we protect ourselves and those around us if there's other embalmers in the preparation room. What I recommend is draw up some disinfectant into a syringe, and you can place that syringe right into the nostril and empty it into each nostril. Do each one. Also the eyes and into the mouth. Let that sit for an appropriate amount of time, about 15 minutes, maybe 10 minutes. And then with some Webril cotton and your forceps, apply some disinfectant and clean out each eye thoroughly. Discard and throw into a closed container. For the nostrils, I would do the same. I would make sure plenty disinfectant is on the Webril and clean out the nose, and then continue with packing the nose straight down into the pharynx. Avoiding it coming out and discarding it, I would just pack it straight down. Do each side. Next, repeat that process with the mouth. Make sure you thoroughly clean the mouth with Webril and your forceps. Make sure that there's plenty of disinfectant on the cotton when you do so. Open the mouth and thoroughly disinfect the inside of the mouth. Dispose of any of the cotton immediately into a closed container. Now we're ready to close the mouth and begin the preparation. It's very important that we bathe the body before we do anything with soap. I recommend using a disinfectant soap. Soap does a much more thorough job at disinfecting the body than a disinfectant or alcohol. It's basically the lipids that break down into the virus, and it breaks it apart and makes it all fall apart. So soap is a very effective way to protect yourself. Bathe the entire body down with soap. Once we inject the body arterially, we do still have to remember one of the phases of embalming, that's aspiration. Aspiration, well, that involves piercing the lungs with a trocar. And that's exactly where the virus lives. It begins there and it ends there. And that's the area of the body that we want to protect ourselves against. Most of us have a hydroaspirator or some sort of forced aspiration. And when we use the trocar, we attach it to the hose and we insert it into the body, we're going to enter into the lungs. We want to be very careful. So before aspiration, before we even introduce the trocar to the body, I recommend taking a bottle of disinfectant and inserting it using the trocar and a gravity tube. I'm going to go get that and demonstrate that for you. The gravity injector can easily be attached to a bottle. And then the hose can then be attached to the trocar. Inject the trocar or insert the trocar into the abdomen and into the lungs. And I recommend doing this before aspiration. We want to disinfect as much as we can inside the lungs where the virus lives. Do each lung. Let it sit for about 15 minutes before aspiration. Once you're prepared to aspirate the body, make certain that the aspirator is a closed system. Closed system aspirator will reduce the chances of any particulate to get into the air. As you know, when you aspirate the body, it's a high force of pressure of water. And that force and pressure of water that's drawing the bacteria and the viruses out of the body, well, that goes right into the aspirator hose in the water, and that could splash. So I would protect that area of the aspirator. If you have a hydroaspirator, make sure you have a tube that goes down into the water of the toilet or the slop sink or a direct access into the sewer. Don't allow any particulate to come out. It's important that we cover that aspirator, if you have a direct vent aspirator that goes directly into the countertop, with some sort of protectant like web roll cotton soaked with disinfectant spray. While you're aspirating, only have one person in the prep room while you're aspirating. It's important to also inject disinfectant into the throat area as well. Once you get done aspirating, make sure you thoroughly disinfect your instruments. And you should disinfect all of your instruments with a glutaraldehyde-based product, some very strong disinfectant to protect yourself from any future transference of bacteria or viruses. It's important to know and to remind ourselves that each time we move the body, that particulates could come out of the mouth or the nose. When we move the body, the diaphragm will move and adjust, forcing pressure onto the lungs and the expulsion of particulates. So we need to be mindful every single time we move this body. Placing a cover over the mouth and the nose, and then move the body. It's very important also to have one person in the prep room unless two people are absolutely necessary. To roll the body, clean underneath the body, always have protection over the face. Now I'm going to discuss how to pack the nose and seal off the pharynx and the throat from any further transmission of particulate. I'm going to use incision powder, Aran Alpha, and web roll cotton to do that. Tear a strip of web roll cotton. Using an incision powder, create a bead of powder in the cotton and then roll the cotton like so. Hold the cotton, use your forceps, and then guide the cotton into the nose all the way down into the pharynx. You'll be surprised how much cotton you can fit into the nose. Pack each side, each nostril thoroughly and completely. Do the same thing to the throat. After you've done that, use Aran Alpha or instant adhesive, crazy glue, super glue, something like that. Lift the tip of the nose and inject or squeeze some Aran Alpha into the nose. What that will do is it will interact with the incision powder and it will create a cement. It'll also react with the cotton, sealing off the pharynx and the nose and disallowing any particulate to come out of the nose. Do the same thing with the throat if you can do so. With everything that's going on today with the viruses, be certain to glue the eyes and glue the lips. We want to protect ourselves and protect the clients that we serve. Once that's dried, it'll create a barrier, not only to protect you as the embalmer, your staff, but also the community that we serve. Now we've covered many of the additional tips that are recommended to use for the embalmer. We're going to answer some of the questions that we received on social media. The question is, how is this similar to the flu, and is there evidence that it's not a big deal? Well, it is a big deal. And we treat every case as if it's infected with a virus to protect us and the public we serve. The question is, how do we protect the community and how do we handle visitation and the amount of people that come in? Each state is governed a little bit differently. We have to follow the regulations that they put forth. And if you don't, then I would suggest that perhaps you're at risk. Follow the instructions of the governor. Yeah, the question is, my staff is fearful of coming in because they're afraid of becoming infected. The answer is follow the protocol. We know what the protocol is. And if we follow that protocol to the letter, we will be protected. It is known and has been told, and given the information that we've been given, is that you wear the masks, you wear the gloves, you do the things that are set in place. Follow the protocol and you'll be just fine.